Okay, so we'll start off, as I mentioned, with basic information. So if you don't mind to tell us, and if you don't want to, that's all right, but what was your date of birth?
I was born September the 7th, 1956.
And where were you born?
In Monroe. I lived here in Waxhaw. My parents still lived in Waxhaw, but the hospital in Monroe was where I was born.
And do you remember how old you were when you first came here? When your parents moved over?
When my parents moved over?
Well, I guess they were already here and you were just
My
born in
parents
Monroe.
lived here. I lived
Okay.
here. Yeah, Monroe. Yeah.
So there was no hospital, I guess, in Waxhaw?
No.
So you're either born at home or you're born in Monroe?
Right.
What's your earliest memory of Waxhaw? Do you remember your early grade school memories or
Oh,
anything?
yeah. My mother was the secretary of the school in Waxhaw.
Do you remember which school?
The old elementary school, Waxhaw School, that is near the cemetery.
Okay.
I think it's a discipline school or something now.
Yeah,
Still
South
there.
Providence, it's on South Providence Street.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Across
was
from the library.
1 to the 8th grade, and then from there I went to Parkwood High School.
Okay. Is that still there today?
Yeah.
Parkwood?
Yes.
And I remember I drove a school bus for Parkwood, for the elementary school, and Harvey Nesbitt, I think, was the principal at the elementary school, where my mother worked as a secretary, and he'd asked me to drive the school bus, and so I had to go get my license for the school bus.
How old were you?
17.
And you're in charge of driving all those kids to school, and you were still in high school?
Yeah, I would pick them up early in the mornings and drop off the kids at elementary school and pick up the kids from the high school there and drive them to high school, to Parkwood.
What did Parkwood encompass? Was that the people out in the country would still come to Parkwood, or is that just the town of Waxhaw?
No, Parkwood High School is closer to Monroe, and it picked up all the area kids in the Waxhaw, and it's like 14 miles from here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Would you guys get off early because there's a lot of farmers in the community?
No, but stories of my dad were that he went to school in Waxhaw, and it was here.
Was it on North Providence Street?
Yeah,
Okay.
the old school, because I remember when I was little, I went to where they were getting ready to tear it down, and I went through and picked up some books and an old student desk, things like that. But he went to that school, and I didn't bring that picture, but he was on the basketball team.
Oh, I
took a picture
love
of that.
Now, that was on the site of the BB&T Bank where that is
Yes,
now? Yes.
yes, that was there, and they got out early in the afternoon because he was one of the farmers, and they needed him for working.
Wow. Did he actually graduate high school, or did he stop
Yes.
in 16?
No, he
Wow.
graduated. The picture I have, I think, is when he was over near graduation. He was on the basketball team, and it had several of the kids there, and one of them was his best friend. It was oh, just getting him in and come to me, but McGirt, Waylon McGirt was his best friend growing up, and he was in that picture also. So I had that from them. But his parents were Baxter Blythe and Ida Mae were my dad's parents. And they had a farm out on 108. And they lived close to the Howie Mine. And Dad, I think he told me stories about the mine, but his brother, RJ, is the one who worked at the mine as he was growing up. But I don't think Dad really did at the time, because I think he went into the Air Force and RJ went into the Army. But RJ's name is in this book that I have of the Howie Gold Mine.
Okay.
And it has some of the people in the area who worked in it, and RJ's name is in there, plus his father's name is in there, but Dad's wasn't. So I'm not sure if Dad did, but he told me about the setup of the mine. And I brought you a picture of that. It's,
We have,
layout.
that's it.
Sorry.
This is the layout of the mine, and it's still there. But it's, my dad lived, as you're going out 108, he lived on the left-hand side before you turn down the mine road. And my brother still lives there, and his house is still there, and he built his house there. And across the road is where his parents lived. But this is a picture of the
Is that house still there too, where the parents lived?
No.
I'm trying to visualize what's
Where
there
my
now.
parents lived, yes, the house is still there.
Okay.
It's a little brown house he built himself. It's not gonna be there much longer. Nobody's in it right now. My brother lives behind it.
Okay.
He deeded the land to him, so the house is still there at the moment. Across the road is where his parents lived, and that house is no longer there.
Okay.
They tore it down and rebuilt in the same spot where among the trees, but the house isn't there.
Is that brick house
I
with
think
the
Scott Farr is
trees all the way around?
Uh-huh.
I know exactly where you're talking about.
that is where they lived, where his parents lived. And I
Okay.
remember my mom, when she got married, she said that Dad's mother was mad because she married a Yankee. He married a Yankee. And it brought her home, and she lived with them for a while until they got their house built. And our mom said it was really hard to live with her because they couldn't have anything of their own in there because it became part of the families, so she was glad when they got their house built and lived across the street. But he went to the Air Force. My dad, growing up, had played sports, and he also had a musical ability that he played by ear music and could hear things. And because of his sound, when he went into the service, they gave the sound music tests and notes to the servicemen. He was able to hear the different music. So he became a mechanic operator. In essence, he was a Morse code operator, and he's stationed in Alaska and Canada, and he would get all the transactions in from the Morse code. Because I remember when I grew up, he had a little Morse code that he brought home with him from the service and around the house, and we would play with it. But he did the translating of those things about what came in.
well, that's interesting. During World War II, because a lot of young men left Waxhaw, left all over small towns, what happened to the workforce here? Was there a shortage of young men during that time?
They did, and in a lot of the history I did working on the Ancestry.com, trying to piece my family together. There was a lot of gaps in the children because all the men were gone in the ages, because they were, some of them had like 14 children. I guess they were working the farms. I don't know, but they had so many. There was gaps in there for that, and I think they had some problems with the mills and stuff, and some of them closed, or whether some of the ladies ran them. But they did have problems with that.
Yeah. And when all the GIs came home back to Waxhaw, did a lot of them stay here? Or do you know if there was a big influx of people leaving Waxhaw to the big cities?
I think a lot of them went other places for work, but I really don't know if stayed. Now, my family came back and stayed, but they had family here, and they had farms, that they were working. So I really don't really know that.
Do you remember how, talking about population, do you remember how big your high school graduating class was?
My high school graduating class was 200.
200? I mean, yeah, that is really fast.
But that is, Kirkwood was covering all of Western Union County.
Right.
I mean, all the way down
Okay.
to Marvin. Because I know, did you know Clyde Yarborough by any chance? Like his family's in Marvin, but I worked with him at Duke Power. And I know he drove a school bus, which just made me think about it. And I was surprised that he went that far to school.
Yeah.
All the way out there.
That's the only
That's like
place.
45 minutes or like 30-minute drive from? if you're going
Probably
all the way
from
out
his house, yeah.
Up to Marvin.
It's probably about 30 minutes.
What,
It's so long, yeah.
what did it, people always say it snowed more back then. Like if it snowed back then, today we get out of school if it ices. But back then, did you have snow days or you still have to just walk to school?
No, well, I didn't walk because it was like I said, 14 miles
Oh,
to go
that's
to
true,
school.
yeah.
And elementary school, I went here in Waxhaw, but the bus came by and picked us up. Because we were 3 miles away from school, and we just rode the bus.
Yeah.
Can I ask you 2 questions? Do you remember the Rosenwald School that was in town over in East Side? It was right there on Cureton Road, right off of,
No, no.
okay. And the second thing was, do you know what year the school on North Providence Street was torn down?
Torn down?
Didn't you say you got some?
Yeah, I was maybe 8 or 9.
Okay, so if you were, so that'd be in the 60s.
Yeah, I mean, the school is there, and I don't think it'd been used for a long time, but they were going to tear the structure down. Now,
Okay.
when it quit being used, I'm not sure about that, but they tore the building down shortly
Okay.
after that.
Thank you.
So when you were in town here, I mean, the main attractions when you were younger, because you stayed here your whole life, or did you get to move
I've
away?
been here. No, I went to nursing school. Of course, we went to college, but I went to nursing school in Presbyterian. And then after I got out of school, I lived in Charlotte for about 4 years. And then I built here in Waxhaw and moved back.
So in that time, when you would drive from Charlotte to Waxhaw, today there's 4-lane roads, there's neighborhoods. Was there really anything between, let's say Providence Road, I don't know how far, because 45 wasn't there, Valentine wasn't there.
When I drove through, the road down here, Providence, the creek that you passed Providence Road was a 1-lane bridge. I mean,
Really?
2-lane bridge, and they widened it because I know they stopped the.
It was barely a 2-lane bridge.
Really?
Yeah, there was always
had lots of
something,
wrecks there all the
problems with
time.
it, so they widened it. And I also know that on 108, when we would go down that road, there was a 1-lane bridge, and they widened that one also. But that one was, we always got scared going down because it was always dark, and they always said headless horseman and all that stuff. They put those theories in your mind, and you come down through there at night, and you hope you wouldn't meet anybody coming the other way. But that was a 1-lane bridge too.
Were there any dirt roads left over in Waxhaw? Any unpaved roads? Because in Charlotte, up to like the 40s, they still had unpaved. Some of the roads were.
I'm not sure. I remember Dad talking about catching a ride into Monroe to go to see the movies and stuff, and he would start walking toward Monroe until somebody come by and pick them up.
Really? There wasn't a movie theater here in Waxhaw?
No, there'd never been anything here in Waxhaw, but except for the depot, they'd catch a train.
Yeah.
And I remember in school, we'd take a trip. We went up to Monroe and rode the train back to get off in Waxhaw. So that was one of our little field trips or whatever we did. But that depot hasn't been there. It's gone, I guess, as I was growing up too.
And then for shopping, I know there's obviously shops on this main street here, but like Belk department stores started in Monroe. Would you go to Belk's in Monroe, or would you go to, or were there enough clothing stores right downtown here?
There weren't any when I was growing up. We went to Monroe.
Went to Monroe.
Yeah.
So that was the big city. That was closer than Charlotte, I guess. It was.
Monroe was closer than Charlotte.
Yeah.
And we'd go to Monroe. Yeah.
Now, for young people, when you're growing up, where would young men or young ladies go for?
Monroe or Charlotte? Nothing in Waxhaw.
They wouldn't have town dances or, socials for young people in Waxhaw. So people have to go out, meet people, and then drag them back to Waxhaw.
If they were going to live here, yeah. I myself my husband is Chinese.
Okay.
So I brought a foreigner, I guess, into the Waxhaw, but he worked in a restaurant when I met him.
Mhm.
And after we got married, he met somebody and started selling bookmarks. And we worked out of our house for a while, and then we built a business, and he started branched that out to Wallplex, and we have a business here in Waxhaw.
Oh.
It's on Providence Road, and it's got the initial CIT on it,
Mhm.
which stands for Charlotte International Trade, which is our business. But at the time, we were living in Charlotte, and it was the closest way for people to understand where we were. So when we built in Waxhaw and moved in Waxhaw, we didn't change that. And we still have our business there.
Do you think that the majority of businesses in Waxhaw, you know, I mean, there's no Walmart right downtown here, so they're all just mom and pop stores, they're all antique stores owned by locals? Or is it mostly from Charlotte, people come down here to start a store?
I think it's mostly locals.
Is it mostly locals here?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It's changed a lot in my growing up.
Mhm.
Most of Highway 16 and what's built wasn't there. As a matter of fact, when we built for our business,
Mhm.
we tried to get outside the city limits, and it was right past that.
Mhm.
And as soon as we built, this was in 80, about 90, I guess about 1990, they extended the boundaries of the Waxhaw and took us in. We had just finished, and so the first thing we did was pay the Waxhaw taxes because they incorporated us, and now it's way out past that.
Yeah.
But when we bought the land, it was not Waxhaw city limits.
And in the downtown, because there are a lot of antique places, is that a new thing? When you were a young girl, were there antique places?
That was still that. As a matter of fact, I don't think I have it, but I had a magazine at one time, and it was talking about that antique town.
Yeah.
And Waxhaw was the number one antique area for going, because both sides of the street are antique stores. And that hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is the restaurant at the end of this street, which was the Bridge and Rail, and is it Maxwell's now is the name of it. That has changed several times, but it's most of the other town, little stores and stuff is stayed antiques.
Switching subjects to the mills. When you were in school, did you have friends that would work in the mills? Were any of those mills still open? I'm not sure.
I didn't have friends that worked in mills at that time. No, they weren't. I know that the Lisa here was open until just recently too, but I didn't know anybody that worked in them.
When did the mill, is there a mill down there?
No, it's down this
It's down this way. The water tower's that way, so the mill's this way.
Mhm.
When did that mill shut down?
I'm not sure what year it closed. Maybe in the 80s.
It had to be, because I know I went down there several times. They'd have a little store open to the public, and you could go in and buy things that they had made, and then some of them had like little places they messed up and stuff, but they would let you go in and buy. And I went in there several times and bought sweaters and stuff. But
Yeah. Well, because over the course of Waxhaw's history, when it first became a town, I'm thinking you have probably an old Indian route, or you have Trading Pass, you have the railroads, you have the mine, which shut down, you have the mills that shut down. So what do you think right now? What do you think it's just the shop owners are supporting? What's the big thing right now? It must just be the downtown. Yeah.
It's the antique
Yeah.
part of it.
Because so many people are moving here, and I guess it might be the taxes as well, but.
Well, the taxes have changed a lot too, because where we first lived in the surrounding area were Waxhaw, and there's a fight going on between Waxhaw and Marvin. and we became Marvin.
Hmm.
We were right on the edge, and